Hello and welcome to Uncommonly Good MTG. I am your host, Dr. Yukon Suck It. I'm coming to you from my secret underground headquarters, someplace in North-South America. And today we are bringing to you a deck that is currently referred to as IZZET MILL, Streets of New Capenna. And what we got is our standard IZZET MILL deck, but this time we've spiced it up with a little bit of some New Capenna cards there. Specifically, we got Cut Your Losses and the Big Score. So let's talk about what's in here, and we'll talk about why the changes were made and what kind of effect they should have. So we have Fading Hope at the low end. We have 4 of those. Those will either save any creatures you have of your own that are out, keep them from being destroyed, allow you to cast them a second time, or you could use them offensively to remove creatures from play for a little bit. Then they have to replay them to be able to use them. Plus you get a little bit of scry action. So they're actually a fairly decent card. We got also, for 1 mana, a Ruin Crab, which when you're playing Mill, these guys do a good job of playing defense with those big old 3-sized butts there. But also, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. So it starts to prime the pump of getting those cards out of somebody's deck. We got Maddening Cacophony, which costs you 2, but you're going to want to spend the extra kicker to get it up to 6. Reason why is because for 2, it'll mill 8 cards. But if you do it for 6, it'll mill half of their deck rounded up. So usually half is what you want. 8 is actually pretty good when they got a lot less cards in their deck. You just have to see what you're dealing with while you need to play it. We got Dual Strike for 2, which allows you to duplicate. So it says that whenever you play your next instant or sorcery with a mana cost of 4 or less, copy the spell. And so 4 or less is going to fetch you anything from here over. So pretty much Maddening Cacophony, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, because that's what you're looking to do, is to try to double up on the mill cards there. Thing is, I don't know how to dual strike if you're trying to do a kicker. I don't think you can. So I think you're probably going to end up getting it like 16 or so if you're using this one, but we'll see. So we got Expressive Iteration. This allows you to take a look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand, 1 on the bottom of your library, and then you exile 1 of them, and you can play the exiled one this turn. So usually what you're looking for is either something incredibly cheap that you got the mana for, or you're looking for a land that you can put out. So a lot of times what you want to do is not play a land if you're going to be playing Expressive Iteration, so that you have the ability to put a land down. Galvanic Iteration is also a card doubler. This one has no limitation on the size of it though. So it's blue and red, and you can do it. Plus you get a flashback with it. So that means you could copy any spell, any instant or sorcery that you play that turn. Well, the next one you do. Here's Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Costs you 3, and each opponent, if you're playing multiplayer, it's each opponent exiles the top of their library. So it doesn't put it into the graveyard, it actually exiles it to a total mana of 20 mana value or more. So if they have 19 and they pull something that costs 5, then they're doing 24 mana value. So it's not necessarily a number of cards, it just depends on how expensive the things are you run across. Lands count for 0, little tiny dudes count for little tiny amounts, but yeah, you big guys will probably choke it back to might only do 4 or 5 cards. We got Prismari Command, which costs 3. You can pick 2 things on the Swiss Army knife here. Deal 2 damage to any target, target player draws 2 and discards 2. You can create a treasure token, or you can destroy a target artifact. So it is a great card with a lot of utility. So there's 3 of those in there, and hopefully they will continue to be useful. Another thing you could do is you could duplicate it with a Dual Strike or a Galvanic Iteration. So that way you could do like 4 damage to a target, or you could create 2 tokens, or flip through a lot of cards, whatever you want to do. So here's the big score. It's new for New Capenna. It's actually exactly like one of the old cards we were playing, except for instead of needing 2 gray and 2 red, it's 3 gray and 1 red. So therefore, it is easier to play in case you only have 1 red. So that's why I swapped it out, is just because, the mana is much better on it. You get the exact same effect. We got Burn Down the House. This is pretty much your big control, this and the Prismari Command, right? So Burn Down the House will generally clear the battlefield. It'll do 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Or you can put out devils, you get 3 of them, and whenever they die, they deal 1 damage to any target. So you put them out, they're 1/1s, they got haste, they can attack, most likely you'll be able to do 3 points of damage. Then when they get killed, they're doing 3 more, meaning you're doing like 6 points of damage to, generally whatever you can. It's a nice blend, and if you can double that up with like the Galvanic Iteration, you could do even better. So we got Invoke Calamity. You have to have 4 red to play this and a gray, but you may cast up to 2 instants and or sorceries with a total mana value of 6 or less from your graveyard or your hand without paying their mana costs. And afterwards, you do not put them into the graveyard, you exile them, and then you exile Invoke Calamity. So you can only pull this trick twice because we have 2 cards in here, but you gotta play some stuff. Okay, also new here is Cut Your Losses. So Casualty 2, which says that if you sacrifice a creature with power of 2 or greater, which we don't have, we're just gonna have the Ruin Crabs. So anyways, you'd be able to create a copy of the spell. So it might be something we want to do in this thing is to find some way of having a creature of power 2 or greater, just so that we can use that additional deal. Because yeah, if you basically, it says you target player mills half their library rounded down, which means that if you could play it twice, that it would be half their library and then essentially a quarter of the first library, getting them down to 1/4 of the library that they had to start off with. So on a 60 card deck, that brings them from 60 to 30, and then from 30 down to 15. But since you pull it's going to be more like, let's just say you have 40 cards down to 20 and 20 down to 10 is what you're really looking at if you got 6 mana to cast it. So it's kind of important that you get that casualty bonus to it, especially since you're paying 6 for this. But like I said, we don't currently have it stoked for that right now. We got the Hollow Storm Giant, but that dude takes essentially 6 additional mana and then himself to be able to be a dude. I mean, I guess you could play it for the 6, and he'd be out there, and then at which point you could sacrifice him. But then you still have to have 6 more mana on top of that to be able to play that. So that's harsh. Anyway, so we have 2 of the Storm Giants. We've got 2 of the Bounce lands from Kamigawa. And we got some dual lands and some fast lands. And that's the deck. So the important part here is that before, all we had for doing a lot of mill, we had the Ruin Crab for a little bit. Then we had Maddening Cacophony, which you had to pay a bunch for, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter. And it's just about fetching them from the graveyard using Invoke Calamity and trying to use Dual Strike and Galvanic Iteration to duplicate them as much as possible. Because by themselves, they just can't quite do it. You need to get them done double. But by adding Cut Your Losses to it, we have a 3rd card that's going to take care of it. And so hopefully it'll give us more opportunities to get at that milling and to get your opponents down to 0 cards in their library as quickly as possible. So let's check it out. All right, we're playing against Don't You Know. Don't you know, don't you know? Okay, we'll keep it. I'm always a big fan of 3 lands. We're going to pop this guy off. We will show our island so that we can use Fading Hope if necessary. So far it's a red. The question is this mono red? Are we playing against super fast creatures? Nope, we're playing against another Izzet. Maybe we'll be dueling. We'll do a dual situation of mill. Okay, so I didn't play Expressive Iteration because I want to play it on the next turn without putting a land down first. I have none of my mill stuff going on. My biggest worry here is he's gonna counter some of my big spells there. So we'll take this into our hand, pop that, and we'll bring this one out. So that way we can cast it this turn, and we have to discard something. I like things too much. I don't see any creatures. Let's just get rid of this one. I wonder what this guy's doing. This is going to be a mill. Nope, he's just getting some land there. That's interesting. He would waste that on getting land. Ruin Crab. Here we go. 1. And Hall of Storm Giant takes care of 3. He knows what I'm doing now. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. What are you doing? See you later, crab. I hardly knew ye. Let's just chill. We got 5. Or we can go to Crazy Town. Let's go to Crazy Town. I always like Crazy Town. Ha 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 ha! One, 2, 3. What are we looking at there? 43 cards. It's going to be a lot less than that in just a second. Here we go. Double it up, my friend. Half your library. You got them down to 20. Hopefully they're all 1 mana or less. Well, that's not good. Oh, go to my graveyard. Pull. Can I kick this? Nope. Well, this isn't good. Let's just decline altogether. What did I just do? Oh, well, that was just horrible. I thought I could cancel everything, but that did not work out. Can I still win this? That's the question. Probably not. Yeah, there we go. Well, I'll be able to get him low, hopefully. And my only hope at this point would be to draw a Cacophony, I'm guessing, or another Hideous Laughter. Come on, just let's do it. Keep me with just above living. Man, I just messed this one up. Pass it on. Come on. No! Stupid jerk. Defeat. Man, I deserve it. I deserve it. Hi, we're playing against Thomas. Hey there, Thomas. Dr. Suckit. Alright, we've got 2 mana. No reds. I'm going to keep it. There we go. There's a little dancing guy for you. Don't touch the precious. Alright, we'll be able to get some Hideous Laughter. No attacks on the next turn. What are we playing here? Red, white, and black. Actually, it's blue, red, and black. Not the crab! He was my favorite. His name was Sergio. Alright, he's down to 35 cards. See, now I want to double up. Let's go ahead and try this one out. See if we can get some... Yeah, that looks good. We'll grab that for our hand. I'll put that one back, put this one out. Alright, and so we have Galvanic Iterations, which aren't going to get us very far. So let's just be done. So I need, what, one more mana to be able to get us into doubling on the Hideous Laughter. Let's see, down to 33. That's a long way to go. Not mana. Not mana. Alright, I'm going to do 2 damage. And this will get me the mana I need. And we're done. Kiki-jiki! 32. Draw your card. Draw an extra card. I feel like it. It's totally fine. Please don't counter me, though. That would just be horrible. Good. Waste your mana. I like that. Don't touch the precious. Alright, we are going to double it up. Auto pay. Looking good. Come on. Yes! Victory! Victory! Alright, we're playing against Otalus. Yeah, it's funny. People pick these names. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. 4 mana, 2 bounces, and this. Ooh, I like the mana. Alright, let's keep it. Let's just see if we can pull this one off. Alright, let's start off with this. We'll show a little skin. Boy, more mana. Okay, this is a little on the... I love having mana, but I hate being mana dumped on like this. All my fading hopes are here. And we'll wait till next turn to use Expressive Iteration. Alright, let's see what we got. Okay. We'll keep this. I don't need yet another bouncer. Pull out the land. And we'll play it. And now we have to discard a card. What are we getting rid of? A land. Get rid of one of these islands here. I could have got rid of the Fading Hope. Is he going to be playing any creatures? There's one. What's that going to cost me? Discard a card if I want to get rid of it. Okay, we're going to red up. I tell you what, we're going to create a treasure token and do that. Target player would be me and me. What are we going to get rid of? Alright, there we go. Alright, we have one more Fading Hope. I don't want to discard a card to get rid of the Graveyard Trespasser, but I will if I have to. And they're just going to go after it. Let's go save it. I lost my treasure doing so, but Rune Crab's worth it. They wasted 2 cards to get rid of the crab. I guess I lost a card and a treasure. Expressive Iteration. Burn down the house. That sounds good. And let's get rid of that. Keep the duel. Throw this out. And we're done. So we'll have 6 on the next turn, which means we can cut our losses. Or I could just burn down the house to get rid of that Trespasser before he gets rid of the stuff in my graveyard too much. Anything good in here? Not really. But if I put the cut the losses in there, it would. Think he's going to counter it? So let's just try that out. He didn't have a counter. That was an expensive way of testing that out. All right, what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We had one more and I can do a double on it. We have to do discard a card. I want everything in my hand, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Too much. Let's just let it go. Because if I send out the Storm Giant, I'll lose it. And it goes, I don't care, that's fine. Because I'll get a mana out of the deal to replace it, and that's all I really want. Alright, here we go. I get to do it now. This out of blue. Let's double it up. Don't be looking at me like that. Don't you dare counter it. Don't you dare counter it. Okay, that's good. Make it even worse for you. Yoink. There's a bunch of cards for my friend. You got 10 left. What'd you get there? Memory Deluge? And we win! Victory! Alright, so this is a new version of IZZET MILL. I gotta say, the thing about IZZET MILL is that you are playing your own game. It's like you barely care about what the other person's doing. You just don't want them to counter anything is really the big deal. I kind of feel bad for them because I know it's like, remember the cycle deck from a few things ago? They didn't care about what anybody was doing. It was just cycle, 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 cycle. You just had to sit there and watch them cycle forever. And then finally you did your thing. I kind of feel like this is the same thing, except for not quite as annoying. I mean, sure, I'm spending my time probably tossing cards and trying to have to get new cards, but I'm not doing it as much as the cycles were. So I understand where people come from when they say that mill decks are annoying jerks, because they're not playing with you. They're just happen to be playing and you're the target. On the other hand, it's not super aggressive. You just do your thing. You know, it's kind of fun duplicating as much as you can. It tends to make you greedy, so you hold off and you wait. You think, if I just get 1 or 2 more mana, it'll be even better. That's the downfall, is you're playing against yourself. It lucked out well for me today. I managed to get all the greedy moves, and they worked well. The Hideous Laughters, you know, when you go for 20 mana at a time, you're not exactly sure how many cards it is. But luckily for me, the last 40 mana's worth was more than what their deck could provide. So is Cut Your Losses good? Yes. It's just like Maddening Cacophony as far as where you're using it. But I gotta say, if we could leverage that 2 for the power somewhere in here, it would be even better. So we'll have to keep our eyes open for an adjustment, just to get that little bit extra duplication out of there. This was a good deck before. With Cut Your Losses, it's even better. I like the fact that we shaved off the need for a second red on big score. So good. Everything's great. Anyways, so that's the deck. I had a lot of fun. I find that with this deck, I win more than I lose. I'd have to say this is a greater than 50% deck. So I think it's competitive. I think you're doing a great job. I think that even playing against Control, that they would have to be discarding your stuff. But even then, you play from your graveyard a bunch with those Invoke Calamities. So, people are gonna have a hard time dealing with it. This is IZZET MILL. I hope you had as much fun with it as I did. Well, now it's time to say goodbye to you and all your kin. I would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back tomorrow to this locality to have a heaping helping of my hospitality. You should, sit a spell and take your shoes off. Y'all come back now, you hear?